Good afternoon, everybody. It's the John Ross Show. It's a little different time here. We're doing it today, and a different day, actually. But it's 3 p.m. or so here, and Tuesday, uh, on the 3rd of May, and we're going to have a special guest, Nathan White. He should be joining us momentarily. A little tough technical difficulty here, but he should be with us momentarily. We're going to be talking about Ukraine, and I'll check here, see if we get him going here. I hope so. I hope this works. He should be with us momentarily, and we can see the outside temperature is 48.7 out there. It's a little brisk, a little mist out there too, and cloudy. So that's what today is bringing. I think we got Nathan now, and I thank Nathan for joining us, and let's see if we can bring him up, see if everything's, as they say, a go. We're going to go with him here. So let's see if we can bring him up. There he is. Hello, Nathan.
Hey, John. How are you doing?
All right. Our technical things, I was worried there for a second, but we're back in good shape.
Yeah.
And I was just saying the temperature outside is crisp 48.7, and I don't know, a little feels like it could snow, but I don't think so. But
yeah, I hope not.
I remember in college, I won't tell you how long ago, but you can sort of guess. It was a long time ago. When I was in college, I went up. It was I think it was called a conference. They were in my college, Trinity College, now Trinity International University, and we had a track meet up in Sheboygan on an early May Saturday. I think about 40. Snow. It did snow a little. I mean, and then what I remember about it when I see these baseball players pulling their hamstring. Yep, I know how that was. I pulled the hamstring. I go, woo! Don't want that one. I don't know if you've had that, Nathan, pulled hamstring, but that's not good.
No, I have torn my ACL twice, but never pulled
Oh,
so I don't recommend that one either.
That doesn't sound good either.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about Ukraine here, and this is Nathan White of World Relief. We're thankful that he's with us here, and he is there in Chicagoland, and he's the director of external engagement. So he's going to give us a little updates on where we're looking at about Ukraine. Of course, we got Afghan refugees. There's a lot of needs out there, and other things that are happening at World Relief. So thank you, Nathan, for coming by here, brother.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, John. I always appreciate the time I can jump on with you and share a little bit.
Yeah. This is a new time, but I guess it's an all right time. I don't know. I was going to do it for another reason, a sporting event in the afternoon, but I don't think I'm going to go to that. It's too nasty out. I don't think I'm going to go out to a nasty outside sporting event.
Yeah.
But we were going to. Anyway, it's a different time, but we'll probably rebroadcast this one maybe tomorrow on Wednesday also. But Nathan, just wanted to check base with you. Nathan, we tried this for a few weeks, but finally got together here, and the brother is you're looking good, guy. You're looking good here.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Too kind. So.
Yeah, and so what's the story, would you say, about the refugees from Ukraine? What's your understanding of what you know, what's happening? I had a brother from that's out in California. He was telling me that he knew that some refugees had come in from Ukraine to the West Coast. He knew of that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they were through World Relief or not, but they were in Santa Barbara area. And he mentioned I think it was a few hundred, he thought. But what do you know about the refugee situation from Ukraine, Nathan?
Yeah. Well, John, as I mean, just like you, and I'm sure those watching, like our heart continues to break for those who have been forced to flee because of the situation or because of Russian aggression. And World Relief is doing work with, or they're partnering with organizations in the surrounding countries to help give aid to those who are there. But in terms of work here in the U.S., World Relief has been helping resettle people from Ukraine for a few decades, actually. I think.
Really? Mm-hmm.
Since a bigger portion of that since the 2013, 2014 annexation of Crimea. And those have been people who have come through the traditional refugee resettlement program. One of the specific ways that World Relief has also been helping with people coming from Ukraine, and it's the predominant or the primary way that we're helping right now, is through what's called the Lautenberg program. And Lautenberg AOR, which is short for Affidavit of Relationship, is a program that's focused on family reunification that's facilitated through the resettlement and placement program of the U.S. government. So facilitated through the refugee resettlement pipeline. And it allows for certain individuals from the former Soviet Union who are now residing in the U.S. to bring their family members here to the U.S. with them. It's a program that is really designed for a specific set of Jewish and Christian denominations that faced a lot of persecution under the Soviet Union. So it requires, the immigration legal services staff that we have to be applying their expertise to help people get through the application process, so that if they have family that is trying to flee, they can come over here through that family reunification process, which thankfully provides them, like those who have come, more of a long-term option for staying. I know that there's been the Uniting for Ukraine thing announced as well by President Biden, which is a streamlined approach to helping, or it's a streamlined process for Ukrainian citizens who've been displaced by Russian aggression to apply for humanitarian parole in the U.S. And John, one of the things that's important to know is the difference between humanitarian parole and refugee status. Refugee status comes with a pathway towards permanent legal residency and towards citizenship here in the United States, right? Which is so important if you are in a place where you have to rebuild your whole life. For people who are coming under humanitarian parole, typically that is a season of time that they're allowed to reside in the United States to be safe from the environment that they had to flee from. But it's like 1 to 2 years and doesn't necessarily have a pathway towards someone becoming a permanent legal resident. So Uniting for Ukraine has that approach of allowing people to come under humanitarian parole. But there's still the problem, similar to what we're seeing with those who came from Afghanistan under humanitarian parole, is that we need to be advocating for long-term solutions for those who are going to need to stay here because they can't go home anymore.
Is that the same as a special immigrant visa? Or is that something different?
Those are different, right? So a special immigrant visa is, it's a special visa that is given to someone who typically partnered alongside of a military.
Oh, that was more for the Afghan situation.
Yep. Afghans and Afghanistan and Iraq are the only two countries that special immigrant visas are.
Oh, okay.
Right now. So that wouldn't apply in this specific circumstance.
So I had that down from another visit we had, and I forgot how that was.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just going to bring this up briefly, but I think Christians should also think about Jesus was a refugee, and we got to remember that. And some say maybe a year or two he was in Egypt. I don't know the time frame there. Yeah. I guess we really don't know. But he was in Egypt. He came out of Egypt, and there's scripture on that to talk about him coming from Egypt. So Jesus, and there was persecution there. It's hard to understand that about the Bible there, that persecution, but babies were being killed and others by Herod. So that was bad. So anyway, we know that that's part of the Christian tradition to help and World Relief. And I guess it's about 9 other agencies that total, right, to do like this resettlement work. They're not
Yeah.
all Christian, but majority are faith based. At least majority are, right.
That's correct. There are 9 organizations that are contracted with the U.S. government for resettlement work and that type of work. So, yeah, and World Relief is one of those. We've been that way for a long time, and we've been helping people rebuild their lives and resettle in the U.S. for over 40 years. So it's a work that requires a lot from the staff, from the community, from volunteers. Of course, it's an experience that demands a lot from the people who have had to who are displaced and having to rebuild their lives. So it is a community thing, right? It takes everyone to be a part of building a community of welcome, and that's true for you and me, and for anyone watching. Like that, we all have a part that we need to play in doing this work.
Yeah, I know we've had this 100,000 number floated out by Biden that he's going to let come in from Ukraine. What do you expect on that in Chicagoland, and just generally how is that going to work? Or is it doing? Are we seeing anything right now on that?
Candidly, John, there's still so much that's unknown about that commitment. The 100,000 didn't have a time frame associated with it,
right?
So that could be over the course of the next 5 years, right? Or
right, that's true. Or could be in 3 months. I don't know, but right.
Yeah, but we are thankful for the president's efforts to try to better resource for those who are in Europe now that have fled Ukraine, to help them get into the refugee resettlement pipeline. At the same time, we know that we're also advocating for those who have been in the pipeline for a long time, right? Who have been waiting in refugee camps, who maybe were approved to come, but then had to wait as well, from the resettlement efforts that went into bringing Afghans over. We're very aware that there are so many other conflicts in the world, and many people have been waiting for a place to call home again.
Right.
So we're advocating for supports there too, that we need to not just be welcoming to those from Afghanistan and Ukraine, but also from Myanmar and Syria and Ethiopia, Eritrea, Sudan, all of these places that are riddled with conflict at this season.
Yeah. And so we have this 100,000. That's, I assume, but I don't know. I forgot my reading on this, that under 125, that the increase on numbers, right? For resettle, that there was the new number this year, right? Or he put out for this fiscal year or whatever. And so I assume this 100,000 is an extra on that, but
John, I would need to do a little bit more research into that, but I know in October the president did set the refugee ceiling, right, or the determination on how many refugees can enter the U.S. at 125,000, because the refugee system had been really kind of dismantled.
I understand totally. Yes.
Yeah. The best projections, even before we ran into all of the mass effort to bring Afghans over, like the best projections were that we would probably hit about half of that number.
Right. It wasn't up to full steam yet. Right.
Right. And then with, resettling people from Afghanistan, like there was a huge lift there, and we're very thankful for the community support and being able to help. But that's also meant that the refugee resettlement numbers have been lower than would have been initially projected. And, as we are in May, right, we're, I guess 4 months out from the end of the fiscal year, or 5 months. I don't know. I'm not the math person, John.
This is October or something, the fiscal year.
So end of September, beginning of October, and there'll be a new, presidential determination set. And I haven't heard numbers on what that may be. There might be numbers sort of floating out there, but when that number is set, we'll have an idea of the commitment level from the administration to welcome refugees from hopefully all over the world, the places that really need them.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to get these. I understand that. And I think, on the other side, I know maybe, I don't know if you mentioned this, but I heard this from some others. Maybe it was you and World Relief, but our government, State Department, isn't ramped up enough because they were sort of decimated too. So that's
Yeah.
slowing down these numbers too somewhat. Is that somewhat a fair assessment?
Um, what I'll say is a lot of the energy and resources that were intended to be towards rebuilding the refugee pipeline had to be quickly diverted to the crisis in Afghanistan and helping
Right.
resettle Afghans who were here under humanitarian parole. So I think there's absolutely more resources that could be poured into that, and I would say should be poured into rebuilding that. But there were a lot of systems that were under strain because they had just not been able to maintain their strength through the previous administration, and that was unfortunate. And we're very much
Right.
promoting for the administration to rebuild them.
Right. How many? I'll ask this on Afghans. How many Afghan refugees have come to Chicagoland area through World Relief? Would you say right now about?
Yeah, through World Relief, it's been over 300, right? Individuals
Really?
that have come through under humanitarian parole. And then there are, one of the things that happens is when an Afghan family comes, they may have come to one of the military bases and been resettled through maybe a World Relief location in a different city, even. So, like maybe in our sister location out in Moline or Quad Cities area, but they had family ties here in Chicago. So then their case would sort of be transferred over, so to speak, and then we would help them get connected where their local family is, better like community support system, right? So so some of that has also been happening over the past few months, and we're coming into a phase of or a time where it's kind of phase 2 of Afghan resettlement, and this is for Afghans who didn't come to one of the U.S. military bases in the U.S., but went to a third location like Kuwait or Qatar, and had to wait for processing there. And then once they're through security vetting, are now coming and will be resettled. Now that number is a lot lower than the initial, I think around 70,000 that came. But we anticipate welcoming another 30 or so Afghans in the next few months, as
Okay.
well as other refugees from different parts of the world.
Now, I assume Chicagoland would have a probably good number of Ukrainian refugees coming because of the base of there is a base of Ukrainians in Chicago, right?
Well, there's some that we don't know yet. I mean, over the past 10 years, we resettled, I think, 259 people from Ukraine. So there's certainly presence here. We have staff who were resettled during that window,
Right.
and now have joined our staff team. And the numbers that will end up coming here are, in some ways, are pretty unknown. I know our sister office in Sacramento.
Right. I think okay.
Yeah, they also have.
Well, I know that's got a pretty good sized Ukrainian population, if I'm not mistaken, or reading about Sacramento area.
Yeah, very much so. And they also have a sizable Afghan population. So their office has been very busy, meeting the needs of those who are being resettled. But we've, even recently just started to have some interaction with Ukrainians who fled in a different way and maybe have come through as seeking asylum. And those are also things that are happening. So all that to say, John, there's just so much that's still unknown, right? Every person's journey is unique. We don't know what exactly the United for Ukraine things will really look like. What we do know is that World Relief is committed to working through the Lautenberg program, and for any Ukrainians that come to us for help, we want to help serve if we can. One distinction that I think I will say is that with the Uniting for Ukraine program, there's a way for it's for churches or organizations to apply to sponsor Ukrainian citizens and who have been displaced, right? So churches or organizations can apply to kind of be the resettlement host or the sponsor. And there's a process to do that. There's a way you have to show that certain resources to do that. World Relief is currently not going to be involved in that component specifically. We're going to be focusing our efforts on where our expertise is with the Lautenberg program and with helping resettle refugees that come through the refugee resettlement pipeline.
Yeah, I've heard about this other option too that you just mentioned here. Yeah, and it sounds like that might try to push that too. Quite well. That maybe the idea is to get something moving here, and maybe they expect quite a bit of refugees or
Yeah, and
individuals there.
we're not sure exactly what that is going to end up looking like. But I know like our commitment is that we are going to serve the people that come to our door, right? Like we're going to empower local churches to do that work as much as we can.
Well, I think part of it is just what's happening in Ukraine. If it probably lengthens out this dang wars, I would say, that might probably increase the thoughts of coming to America. It just would depend. I know we've heard that some mothers and children and others have been going back from Poland or other countries back to Ukraine. So it just depends on the situation on the ground there. I would think quite a bit on which way this is going to go.
Yeah, I know some of our earliest conversations with people who are from Ukraine is very much holding the hope of being able to go back home, right? That this would resolve quickly, and the longer that it remains unresolved, I think the more difficult that is. Thinking if you or I or anyone watching were forced to leave their home and not sure if it was still there or not, like the more time that passed, the more difficult that would be. So yeah, it's hard to know and imagine like what those specific journeys are at this point in time. But we are praying for quick resolution. We are praying for people to be able to be where they call home, right, in a place where they feel that they belong. And for those who have to make the unfortunate decision to uproot their lives and restart them here, we're committed to walking alongside them until they find that place of belonging again.
It's very good. And I would just about the prayer, I have at the bottom of the screen that Thursday's been an annual thing called the National Day of Prayer. And I just would I hope we could, in our prayers, think about Ukraine and world relief in this situation right now. And that's on this Thursday. Let me see if I can I think I had let's see what I got here. Yeah. Here's a way that you can see about world relief to respond and give on Ukraine. And
if I can add in, John, actually on that page, you'll be able to see some of the other crises around the world
right.
that we're responding to. And it's a great spot to get a
right. It's mentioned several. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And as we did before, we can you can also look at World Relief here on Facebook in World Relief Chicagoland and get more information on what's happening locally here quite a bit. And another thing, Nathan's is always open to hearing more from people. So we got his email here if you want to contact this brother about how maybe your church or maybe you individually want to help refugees. It could be Ukrainians, could be Afghans, it could be others too that they're coming. You mentioned several countries there. World Relief sees quite a few refugees from different areas of the world, correct, brother?
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, not just with refugees that we help resettle, but from the many different people that we serve who are immigrants here in Chicagoland. We've seen people from over 100 different countries just in the past year. So there's a wide range of the creation, right, of God's people from all over the world that end up here in Chicagoland. And for us, because they bear the image of God, we seek to serve them and show them love and respect and support.
Yes, it's very important. And you have legal services and you have other needs that can be met, and people can help out with care things like, there's dollars, of course, and there are also donations you can make of certain household and furniture and things like that World Relief can use to when they resettle people.
Yeah.
And I think you have a list probably. I forgot where that's at, but it's
Yeah. Yeah. You can find it on our website, which is just
yeah, I'm sure it's on there. I
/Chicago.
didn't give their other website, but it's probably on that one too. They have a website plus the Facebook, or Facebook goes you to the website, however you want to do it. But yeah, there's other ways to help. There's so many different ways to help. Of course, we can pray and just keep putting this in the front burner of people, and World Relief is doing a great job. And I think you mentioned, I just want to touch back, and just people maybe don't, I think you said this, but I want to say this again. You mentioned of Ukrainian, I guess, displaced who come to America, refugees, or that you have worked with of all the resettlement groups, you've worked with 40% of them, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? In the last 15, 20 years, whatever that was.
Yeah. So that's for World Relief as a whole, right? So in the
Right,
past
right. I mean,
18
across the
years,
country and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. In the past 18 years, we've helped resettle more than 13,000 Ukrainian refugees. So, and
Yes.
that's a work we continue to be committed to as a whole organization.
Right. That's very important. So if you want to contact Nathan, there's his email there. And I just want to, again, Nathan, you got anything you want to wrap us up with, or put a ribbon around, or a bow, or however you want to say? Is it, or did we do it? Did we already do that? Maybe, I don't know.
John, I think we did a great job, and I'm again just want to say thank you to all those who are watching, who are thinking of and praying for Ukraine and for people who are displaced from all over the world. We're always thankful for partnerships of people like you, working in the realms of prayer, but also in volunteering and giving. So feel free to reach out if you want to learn what a next step is in that area for you.
Right, right. And well, I won't put it up, but keep praying about our. I've been talking about our COVID things, and keep praying that would just people would take awareness, and that would settle down, and just take it seriously too. Also,
Yeah.
and I'll just show off here a minute. This is my. Go to my website, xpin.news, and this is the local. This is the last numbers. The numbers are still going up. Again, 4,000 cases in Illinois and 9 deaths. And Kane had some upper numbers too. So I don't know. I've been talking about that and shots and everything. So we just, I don't know. There's a lot of needs out there, a lot of things happening, and this Ukraine is one of them. And World Relief is right there in the forefront. And I just thank you for Nathan White and World Relief. And so again, pray for Ukraine. Again, thank you, Brother Nathan, for being with us here. Just it's great, and let's try to get this around and show others and give them a little understanding of what the situation is. So let's pass this video around if we can. So again, thank you, Nathan, for coming by this afternoon, and God bless you in the work of World Relief. And we'll do something on Wednesday, Lord willing, and we're still working on that, baby. I think we're just going to show this again, to be honest with you. But I think it's a good one. So anyway, so God bless everybody out there. And again, thank you very much, and bye-bye, and have a good day. Thank you again, Nathan White of World Relief. Thank you.